guys and girls. Welcome to episode 88 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or leave us a nice review on iTunes, because that would really help us out. I hope everyone's having a nice weekend so far. Thanks to everyone that's joining us live in the chat. We really appreciate you being with us every week. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat. We'll try and keep an eye out and answer as many questions as we can. Now it's time for me to introduce you to the team this week. And first up, this guy has been going out on double dates, exploring the Windlands in VR. It's our resident VR Twitch streamer, Zimtok5. How you doing? You all right?
I'm all good. Thanks, Mike. God, Windlands. Yeah, we're going to do that again, actually, next Saturday. We're going out for the second time because we did a double date with Tyriel Wood and Lady T Wood, myself and the wife. And that was good. Swingers party.
Yeah. What future of double dates?
Rowdy was trying to say something snarky there. Go on, Rowdy. What were you saying?
You were saying that you were doing a swingers party?
Yeah, that's right. Swingers party. But aside from that, yeah, it's been a good week. Lots of my favorite server admin. You know, getting this stuff working smoothly. Last weekend we did Serious Sam. Got a dedicated server for that running. Getting ready to do Pavlov tomorrow. So just lots of kind of multiplayer focused fun, to be honest, and a little bit of pulling my hair out. But it's all working now. so happy.
With a swingers party in Windlands, instead of putting your car keys in a bowl, do you just put your grappling hooks in a bowl and then mix them up? Is that how it works?
Something like that.
Okay.
Mike has a lot of experience, apparently.
Yeah, I'm curious. Well, now that's all cleared up, let me introduce you to the next guy. He's the John Travolta of VR. He's got the smooth moves. He'll hypnotize you with his snake hips. It's the Rowdy guy. How you doing, man?
My snake hips. I like that. I'm going to use that more often. Like next time I see my girlfriend, have you seen my snake hips? All right. Yeah, I'm doing all right. You know, I'll talk about my snake hips experience a bit later on as well. Like, yeah.
I look forward to hearing all about it. This next guy, he's been following the White Rabbit this week, deeper down the rabbit hole, going into a simulation within a simulation. It's Nathie. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah. Is this a simulation, by the way?
Could be.
Or is this a simulation within a simulation we're in at the moment?
We're living in the Matrix.
I don't know. This podcast, it feels real, but it also doesn't.
You've been spending too much time in VR.
Wait, this is VR, right?
Could be. Maybe you need one of those like totems in what is it, Inception, where you can spin it to work out whether it's in reality or in a dream.
I was already wondering why the clocks weren't ticking here anymore.
But you're okay, other than dreaming.
Yes, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm enjoying real life as well, as much as I do in the virtual, environments. I'm traveling.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Last but by no means least, myself, the host of the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. This week we've got a jam-packed episode for you. I think everyone's kind of recovering from all the big news from last week, though. But nevertheless, we've got an interesting show for you planned today. We're going to be talking about how the NYPD are using VR to train in dangerous scenarios. That's going to be really interesting. I talk about my experience testing Gunstocks, like the ProTube with the Oculus Rift S and the Quest. Zim's going to give you the lowdown on all the latest releases to look forward to next week. And then finally, we're going to be discussing the news that Jason Rubin and Hugo Barra are leaving Oculus. So yeah, we've got a busy show for you. By the way, I love the thumbnail for this week's show. Like Nathie does them every week, but this week it looks like Detective Pikachu has gone rogue. Like he's being hunted by the NYPD. It's so good.
Yes, it's an alternative storyline I created for you.
I like it. You don't want to see what happens in the next frame. Yeah, it's going to be a mess.
I kind of do.
Yeah. But of course, let's start the show by finding out what everyone's been playing and their highlight of the week in VR this week. And of course, first up to the plate is Zimtok5.
Well, last week we covered a bunch of titles. I'll slip in and talk a little bit about my touching with loneliness a bit later. So I'll leave that one for suspense until we talk releases. But my highlight has to be having seen, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about this swashbuckling title called Battlewake a little bit later on. But seeing that someone else had mentioned a game on Oculus Go. I don't often talk too much about Go titles, but this one, I think I can say now it's my favorite game on Oculus Go, which is hard to beat things like virtual reality and other stuff like that, but I feel it's really well-rounded. So there's a game that is essentially FTL and From Other Suns, like Baby, on the Oculus Go, with this whole kind of pirate / open seas veneer, and it's called Narrows. And I heard the name and I was like, this is good. And it was like just at the time that I was watching the latest Game of Thrones episode, and they were talking about going out over the narrow sea, and I'm like, I felt like swashbuckling. And then I went in and the portrayal of the game, like you have your crew in like a captain's room, and they lay out this beautiful little map, and the map is kind of, I think it's procedurally generated, and so you pick where you want to sail your boat to, and you take on certain risks, and you have to balance kind of food and gold, and you're like searching for booty, as any good captain should do, and then really the game moves into a mode where you're managing compartments on your ship, much like Fallout Shelter or something like that, and you're picking what weapons you want to go where, you're balancing the economy of what can I buy, do I need to repair my ship so I don't just sink, versus do I want to grab like a 2 cannonball sail ripper. So like the whole thing, the way it's portrayed, there aren't many Go games that I've played where like immediately after I'm out, I want to go back in again, and Narrows was definitely that. So I'm absolutely smitten with the game, absolutely love it. Anytime I get a chance now, I'm pulling my Go out and playing it. You know how much I love From Other Suns anyway, Mike, and I've always been a fan of FTL since playing that one as well. So if you like a game that's roguelike and when you die, you're dead, I definitely recommend Go owners to check out Narrows.
Nice. I actually played it when it first came out, and again, I really enjoyed it as well. And like you, it reminded me of FTL. Managing your crew, move them around different compartments of the ship, and when you get like leaks and stuff, or you need to get stuff repaired, then you have to send them to the little compartments. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that was it. I love being surprised by games where you look at them and you're like, there's no way this is going to be as good, and then it just totally blows you away. So for what it is on the Go, I think it's one of the most well-balanced Go games that I've seen. I mean, there's games like Thumper, which I love, that really don't do well on the Go, I'd say. Like it just underperforms, the audio's not right, and on a music game you're like, I'd rather play that on PC. But this game, I hope they bring it to other platforms so people can get a chance to play it.
Yeah, fingers crossed it will come to the Quest.
They're asking in the chat, is it kind of like Guns of Icarus?
Oh boy, Guns of Icarus. I didn't play Guns of Icarus. I saw the videos in that for it, and who was it? Maybe PD or someone had made the reference that it was like that, but I personally don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what about you then, Rowdy? What have you been up to this week, dude? Tell us.
I've been dancing the night away. That's what I've been up to.
Yeah, you have. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, I played Dance Central on the Oculus Quest. And I have to say, it's quite good. Even if you can't dance, it's still a lot of fun. I did go into this, expecting to have an hilarious experience, because you just know that you feel that's the thing about virtual reality. You put those goggles on and you forget everything what is happening outside of your vision, and you just think that everything you do is cool. But then the best part about recording yourself in virtual reality is then afterwards just watching that video without the context or whatsoever. I have to say, I think it's one of the funniest videos that I've watched of myself without the game content. It's just hilarious to see myself like go all crazy and do all those like weird little dance moves. And the funny thing is, because I posted it on Reddit, because I was like, oh, you know what? This is something people will probably like. And a lot of people were like, I never thought I would say this, but I'm actually thinking about buying this game now just because it looks so much fun to be playing it. And they're right, I'm not big on those like kind of dance games or like Guitar Hero or like those kind of things. Like I'm typically not into that. but if you can act silly, then it's definitely for me. Yeah, 100%. And the weird thing is, there's actually a storyline that is involved in there as well. I only played it for like maybe roughly like an hour that I played it, but there's like a storyline into. It's not a good one, I think. It's basically about the dance gym. It's like closing down. That's pretty much as far as I got. But you hit on like all these chicks that are like around there. You like start hitting them up. You get their phone numbers, and then you can call them and like ask them for a dance and that kind of stuff. Found that hilarious. There's probably also dudes in there, but I wasn't really interested, so I only talked to the girls. And you do one dance with them, and bam, you get their number. And I was like, this is my kind of game. This is my kind of
I
game.
love that. That's such a cool game mechanic, and it really leverages the whole like mobile phone or cell phone thing.
And the crazy thing is, like, because at the first time, like, something went wrong, and I like threw my phone away, and the next moment I picked up my phone, and my screen was cracked.
What?
Wow.
It's hilarious.
You also make selfies?
I don't know, actually. No, I haven't tried that.
Imagine making these Snapchat filters, and you can do that in Vacation Simulator. They have these lenses that you can put on them.
The girl, before she met me, she took like a selfie of herself, and then later on that evening, she sent that selfie to me before we started dancing.
Wow.
Oh, it's so nice meeting you. We should like meet up again. Here's a picture of me. And I was like, it's just like a real life.
So let's say for someone like me who doesn't have a girlfriend, this is my place to be at. I'm not gonna feel lonely anymore.
Exactly.
Nice.
Do you feel like you've learned any new moves that maybe you can break out in real life?
Yeah. Show us.
Oh God, Mike.
The reason is like, whatever move that you do there, the entire audience there, they go like wow when you do something right. They absolutely go wild, and I'm kind of scared of when I pull out those moves in like a real dance club. People are going like, "What's wrong with this guy?"
What is the best dance move you learned, Rowdy? Show us.
Show us.
Oh no!
Come on, Rowdy.
I made an entire video of dance moves.
I remember one. It was like this one.
Yeah. that was actually the wrong one, because they were like, I had to like at a certain point I had to like point at my feet, but you had to do it with like a different rhythm that your feet were actually doing it, and I just couldn't get it.
That's hilarious. So is this dance move, is that to like Crab Rave or something? That's what it looks like.
They should include that song in there. Definitely.
I got a question for you, Rowdy. The leg part of this, like tracking or whatever. I mean, I was a big Dance Central player. I only got a little taster of it on Quest. I mean, is it? Are they only modeling your upper half, or is there any kind of? I assume there's no tracking of your legs.
I think they're only modeling the controller, since I think they're only tracking that really, and the controllers just need to be in like a similar position. I don't think you really need to do the exact moves. Also, I don't know if the cameras would be able to see your legs and directly interpolate that to like. I don't think that the software.
That's what I was wondering, if they did any kind of like reverse kinematic skeletal model, kind of like what Kinect does.
I used that move in the game, but in real life, I definitely did not.
What if you buy yourself like 2 extra controllers and you flex tape them onto your shoes?
I don't know how that will work, but
you should try that for science, Nathie. Share the video with us all.
But all in all, it was a really fun experience. Oh, and they have like a dance gym where you can like perfect your moves. So if you want to like practice certain moves and certain songs, I guess, then you can also go in there and like play around with that. Only the studio there is run by a dude, so I was like less interested.
Seriously, I could only play a dancing game if it's in VR, because I don't see anyone anymore, and then the embarrassment is gone. But if I had to do just dance in front of a console, then I'm like, are the neighbors home? Are they gonna watch right now what I'm doing?
With the Kinect, I mean, if you do that with like a bunch of drunk friends, it's the best time ever.
But you just said it. You gotta be drunk to enjoy, to not be embarrassed, basically. With VR, you don't have to. You just put it on. Like, I've been dancing in front of so many people at PAX and didn't even notice it.
True. We all did that, yeah. So what about you then, Nathie? What have you been playing this week then, dude?
I played virtual reality on the Oculus Quest. I played a little bit of Beat Saber once again. I also checked out Dead and Buried 2 with some friends of mine. And the one I want to highlight is Superhot VR, because there is a demo on the store that you can try. I'm not sure if this is going to be available for everyone.
Yes, Superhot is one of the ones that is available, I think, for everyone. Is it the one we mentioned it last week, maybe? I'll double check that, but yeah.
Four dudes with no memory.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well, let's say I played like a 5-minute demo, and yeah, super fun. I made a video about it, showing what you can do with the Quest. I was, spinning around, doing these matrix moves, stuff like that. I don't think I would play it that way when I would actually, play it. But it's cool to try and see what it does and how well it tracks. I do feel like the demo they have, if it is available for everyone, is not showing off the full potential of what Superhot VR is going to be like on Quest, because the demo that I checked out was very similar to the PC version. There was nothing really standing out in that sense. Well, at Oculus Connect, you felt more like, hey, this is different. This is something else. It's more room scale. It's more making use out of the fact that you are wireless. That you don't have any wires anymore.
That's pretty surprising, actually, Nathie, because like your comment there, I mean, walking away from Oculus Connect 5, one of my best impressions was Superhot, that demo where you're walking down the corridor and you totally lose yourself.
Yes, but that's not the demo you get on your Quest.
That's too bad. Missed opportunity for them, I'd say.
Well, the problem is with the demo at OC5 is that they had that play space that they knew exactly the proportions of that play space. So they can't replicate that in everyone's home. So they also stated recently on social media that the Quest version of Superhot will be the same version as the PC version, although obviously you're completely tetherless and wireless now, so you've got the freedom to move around. But just to clarify, it's not included in the 5 free demos. The 5 free demos, for clarification, are Beat Saber, Creed, Journey of the Gods, Space Pirate Trainer, and Sports Scramble, although the demo is already made and it's a press demo, so they could just convert it, I guess, for a free demo. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, again, to clear that up, like, the stuff we have been playing around with, not everything is going to be free on Quest. The ones that Mike just mentioned are the ones that you can, check out. But yeah, it's weird though, like that they didn't include some of those cool things you can do with the Quest in this demo, because Oculus Connect was really showing it to its full potential. Let me just quickly explain to you what it was like. You were staring at like a door, and when you then moved around, the door was gone, but there was something else suddenly. So it was constantly changing the rooms around you, and it made you feel like there was way more space than you really have. It's like constantly running around in a circle, like in a maze, and every time it feels different. That's kind of what it's like. But in this demo, yeah, it was just like the what I played on Oculus Rift before on my HTC Vive on Steam on Oculus Home. So I was like, okay. People just wanted to know if there were any differences. I don't think there was anything major going on there. I did hear that the developers did put some Easter eggs in there, some new things to kind of spice it up, but it's not going to be. I think they changed the mechanics too. They kind of fresh them up a little bit. But as I said, nothing major, I feel like.
How did it look or perform as well, Nathie?
It looks, for me, it looked the same. Now I, of course, also put the Superhot PC gameplay next to. It looks a little different, but it's not noticeable in any way. And it plays exactly the same way. Nothing different.
No, and the developers tweeted this week that, I think they finished the development on the Quest version of the game now, and one of the devs stated sort of that it's the best version of Superhot that you can play because you're free. You're not tethered to a PC anymore, so you have that freedom of movement, which is great.
Yeah. They improved the 360 gameplay. That's what they said, because there can be more going on behind you. But I always felt like Superhot VR is not completely 360. I feel like it's kind of going into every corner, but it's not going to make you constantly go all over the place. Although if you play endless mode, that's a different story. But yeah, it was nice. I like in the end, if this is your first headset, the Oculus Quest, then this whole story I just told you, forget about it. Doesn't matter, because the first time it's great, you know. But if you come from Rift and you then have a Quest, then you might be a little disappointed thinking that there is something new to be explored. That's not the case.
Yeah, to reiterate that, like, you know, if you've never played Superhot in VR before, in my opinion, it's like a must-buy title for Quest.
I would.
Fair enough.
I'll second that. Yeah. I'm interested though. I mean, like, I guess it's the perfect example of the look and feel of a game that's going to run great on Quest, right? It's kind of in that corner of, I don't know.
How long is the playtime actually on in the demo?
The
Demo is like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think the full game is, I don't know. I think I finished it in like 2-3 maybe, because you also have all these game modes that you can also try. And so
you still have an endless mode in the full game, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's like the new Superhot Forever update. That's also, as far as I know, included with the Quest version. But today I had some friends over and they tried some stuff too. And I mean, Superhot is definitely a good selling point. It's very impressive because you feel like you're Neo from the Matrix. Who doesn't want to be Neo, right?
Yeah, exactly. What about the chat? What have they been playing? Any sort of suggestions there? Maybe I'll talk about what I've been playing this week when we can round it up at the end. But I've been playing a lot of Journey of the Gods on the Quest. I think I'm just over 3 hours into it now, so it's a fairly long game. I think it was touted to be about 6 hours long anyway. But if you're not familiar with it, it's a game that's coming to Quest and Rift. It's an adventure game that looks and plays fairly similar to like the old Zelda games of old. But obviously it's built for VR. There's a few things that I really like about this game, and there's a couple of things that I don't like about this game. What I really like so far is that the weapons feel great. You know, you have access to a sword, a shield, and a crossbow, and using them feel great, and you can switch between them anytime you want. And when you swing the sword, like it sounds like a lightsaber almost. It's kind of got that nice.
It has like these nice physics, but also just the sounds in this game are, you know, top notch.
Exactly. And the cool thing about these weapons is as well, like during the levels, if you find other weapons, you can collect them. And then if you collect 3 of each one, then at the end, you have like a little area you go to between each mission. You can then forge an upgrade. So you can upgrade your sword. And the cool thing is they actually evolve the weapons. So they're a lot bigger, or the crossbow has more bullets and the shield gets bigger as well. So you can deflect more stuff. And that's really nice. But there's other things that just aren't so nice. Like, I feel like the game really lacks something. The fact that it doesn't have any like voice acting in it. It's all text based. So the urgency of the fact that these villagers need your help and you're the hero that they need and you need to go and do this now is kind of lost in text when you're just reading it.
They don't make any sounds, right? It's not like this. You don't even really hear that. It's more like you hear a sound that you open the text balloon, and then there just stops.
Yeah. And the first missions, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but the first missions kind of set up the game really nicely, but then the gameplay gets really changed up in the second mission, and then it kind of reverts back in the third mission. So they mix up gameplay styles, so they try to make it like a bit of variety in there, but they don't execute that well, and it kind of made that level particularly annoying from my perspective.
Interesting.
Also, the god powers that you use are kind of a bit hit and miss. When you turn into god mode, you have different abilities which you unlock through your progression in the game, and one of them which you get early on is like you can grab to the sky and reach a lightning bolt and throw it to the ground, which sounds awesome, and when it works, it's awesome, but I found that I have struggled with it working sometimes. You know, sometimes you can't throw a lightning bolt properly. It just dissipates and doesn't hit a target or something like that. That became really frustrating. And then I got to a point where that was a mechanic to progress further, and I actually got stuck. I couldn't progress any further.
Oh,
and when you use your god abilities, it uses like your power, which you have to refill. And because I'd used it all, I couldn't progress any further. So I was just stuck in this little part of the world, and I had to basically quit the game and restart until I could eventually get that hit detection to work to progress any further. So it's a little bit frustrating. So that's why I say it's got good things and bad things about this game.
What you're actually saying is that you suck too hard at the game for it to be good.
I wouldn't say I suck. I think that this, like, the hit detection on that particular god power could be better.
Oh yeah, it's the hit detection, yeah.
It is, for sure. I'm not a noob, I promise.
But hey, also something you should say is that the enemies in there, they look gorgeous, and the way they have been animated is so cool. You're like, ooh, okay, what is this for? Like the first time you see a new creature, you're like, uh-oh, okay, what is this going to do?
Yeah, and like, you make a good point, because all the creatures, there are various creatures in the game. You have to fight them in different ways and use different styles of fighting to defeat them. Pardon?
That was what I thought was cool, that you had to like figure out yourself how to like defeat a certain enemy or a certain style of enemy.
Yeah, I agree. But like, I just think the things that I've experienced take the shine off the game for me a little bit. And I think, out of the two games from Turtle Rock that are releasing on the Quest, I think Face Your Fears is a way better game. It's way more fun. Had a great time with that game. I will continue with this one, though. I do want to finish it, but it was just kind of to put the information out there of what I've experienced so far with it.
Wait, I thought they made another game, like Left 4 Dead 3 on the... No, okay, never mind.
Maybe that hasn't been announced yet.
No.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I played. So any suggestions in the chat before we move on to the quick news this week?
Suggestions.
You mean from what people played?
Yeah.
Art, the Talos Principle from Flippo's side. Great Tantrum has been playing Gran Turismo Sport VR. Clay Bomb, I was addicted to VR porn until I found Jesus, so we're all very happy for him as well. And then I think...
What's Undead Development? What even is that? Do you guys know what
Undead
that is?
Development? That's that game where you need to like build certain parts of like the house, and then zombie waves come at you. You need to kill them. You can make like your own kind of weapons and that kind of stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game.
Nice. So let's start off with a bit of quick news then. And first up is Detective Pikachu. So for those of you out there still playing Pokemon Go, I don't know if there is many people out there now.
Raise your hands.
Yeah. You'll be pleased to hear, if you are still playing, that the developers of the game Niantic are adding the adorable Detective Pikachu movie-inspired content to the game.
So fluffy.
To coincide with the movie's release this week. You can unlock clothing items for your avatar that feature his little face. You can encounter more Pokemon that are featured in the movie. And you also may get photobombed by Detective Pikachu himself.
What? Seriously?
Telling the truth here,
Who
guys.
doesn't want to be photobombed by the one and only?
Yeah. So were any of you into Pokemon Go? I think we've had this conversation before, but just remind me.
For like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was seriously into it for a good time, Mike. I'm probably about a good part of a year, or definitely like heavily in it for about 4 months, and then hibernated when things started to get a bit cold up north.
Am I right in thinking that it was you that told us the story that you got into a stranger's car?
A stranger's car? That wasn't me.
No, maybe that was someone else.
People
Yeah.
get into my car, Mike. That's a different thing, right?
You're encouraging them into your car with
That's
Pokemon.
right.
That's
That
right.
was it.
Sorry,
That was it.
wrong way around.
And
Yeah.
candy.
but I was really into Pokemon Go as well. Like I think it was that summer where everyone was going crazy for it.
Nuts.
It was a really hot summer as well here in the UK, and everyone in the parks locally were just going nuts, trying to hunt for Pokemon.
Still, there's still people that do
Yes,
it.
there
Like
are.
here in front of my house, like there's like these Pokestops at like monuments. There's like a monument in front of my house. There's still like people gathering every week. They come with their cars and they just chill there. It's also a social thing. It's not just, hey, we got to catch some Pokemons. It's like serious business. No, they also just, they chill. And especially now with the weather, you can barbecue and catch Pokemons while you're at it.
Yeah,
Just bring the idea out to you, everyone here.
Nice. But yeah, you're right though, because like I was heading to town the other day, and there was a group of people all sort of looking at their phones, like moving in a pack.
It's crazy.
A flock, I think they call them.
Still, how long has this been out?
Yeah.
It's
And I was looking at their phones, and they were all still playing Pokemon Go. But I'm sure this is a big, thing for them. Just Pikachu has always been an iconic Pokemon character, and obviously with the movie coming out, it's big news for them. But are you guys interested in checking out the movie? It's been getting pretty decent reviews, I think. No, not even with your kids, Tim?
Actually, films and kids don't go down usually that well. So, I mean, my kids have been pretty behaved, but actually it was one of the things we didn't do for like the first 3 years of having kids is go to the cinema, because it's just like one of them goes off, then one parent has to leave probably for 20, 30 minutes, and everyone else gets interrupted. So, yeah, films at home are great.
Is it me, or does this? Because I've only seen like one or maybe like half a trailer, but is it not like a little bit more adult themed?
Yeah, it seems more adult themed actually. More like, Pikachu just looks weird. I don't know.
I think it's actually aimed at the generation that probably like grew up with Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest about it, they did a way better job than the Sonic team did. You know, like Pikachu actually looks like Pikachu. You know, so
they're gonna change that up, luckily. So that's good. But I wonder to promote the AR app once again. Maybe they put it into the movie itself, where someone is just casually. That would be so cool. I wonder if they did that. I haven't watched it, but I did hear there are a lot of Easter eggs in the movie. But that would be like good promotion to kind of tie in once again. This could be again another wave of hype for catching Pokemons in real life.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. I'm hopefully going to go and see it next week, so I'll let you know what I think.
I just had a kind of comment there. I think it's kind of funny that people look at Pokemon these days, and I know they associate it with the kind of being like a kids thing, because they do tend to direct the shows and that to that audience. But I'll tell you, when it first landed, and I got my first copy of Pokemon Blue on Game Boy something or other, I can't remember which system it was specifically, but it was like the best RPG at the time, like on handheld, and you could take it everywhere with you. It wasn't like really seen as kiddish at that point. It was more like a monster collector, and that's what it really was.
I don't think it has ever been. I think Pokemon is for everyone. I never felt like it was only for.
Yeah, it's like Mario. It's kind of ageless in a way.
Also because the games that they made, they were in a way like a new concept. I think that could appeal to a lot of people.
Well, I missed the whole Pokemon wave at the start because my parents thought the series on TV was too violent, so I never watched it. Yeah, they so I'm kind of sad that I never. But I did play the games. I did play it on my Game Boy Advance. Also hooking up that little cable between two.
Oh yeah.
And to kind of trade.
Cable.
Man, those were the times, man.
Those were the days.
But like, why don't we have that? Like that was like the whole thing when Pokemon Go landed. Like, why couldn't they have done some kind of near factor communication or Bluetooth or just anything to be able to like?
Yeah, but also have like
there,
you being like the how do you call that person? Like the dojo leader, like the person who runs the town. Yeah. Like have like if you're the best one in your city to be like the. But they should still do that. Like that would totally add up to it, because then you also play a role.
And I know
in the universe of Pokemon.
We're probably going too deep here, but like they've added a lot of features to Pokemon Go. So if you're into AR games, it's still one of the better AR games that you can play. And there's a lot of multiplayer features, and the thing that I liked about it the most is that the way I looked at it is it was more a great excuse to see your local area. I learned loads of stuff because of those monuments, like what Nathie was talking about. That you normally would just pass by and be like, I don't care what that thing is, so just go get to the shop or whatever. And then the second thing is exercise. Like the amount we walked, me and my wife and that, like huge. Like we walked it was like 20 miles a week we were walking. We normally would just be sitting on our rear. So I think that AR games, a lot of people dismiss them. A lot of people think that it'll be more like business applications or day-to-day stuff that comes into the AR space. But I'm still super enthused for anything in the AR space that can pull off that's fun. So
agreed. Agreed.
Question: who's gonna watch the movie out of the four of us?
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch it.
The thing is, I'm not really into theaters in general to go watch a movie there. So I just wait until it comes out and then I might watch it.
I'd watch it at home, but I wouldn't go out to the.
I wanted to go to Endgame, but then I heard it was like 3 hours. I'm like, I gotta sit in a theater for like I just can't do it. I just can't sit still for that long.
So I've got a funny story about Endgame. I won't spoil it, but so like because obviously I wanted to see it like as soon as it came out, I booked a local theater, and the tickets, it looked like I was right at the very back. I was like, oh, I'm happy with being right at the very back.
Oh, no.
When we got there, what I realized was I'd looked at the map upside down. So I was actually in the front center row for 3 hours. And
God, damn it.
When we came out, my really good friend, he felt so motion sick because he was so close to the screen. Like, yeah, he was felt really rough.
I've been there too. I once watched like the SpongeBob movie on like the front row in the left corner, in the complete left corner. I'm like,
horrible.
That's a terrible. That's a horror story. That is.
Yeah, but Rowdy, you have a funny IPD, so you can see much more than we do.
He's got the IPD of a mouse.
I one big eye. One big eye.
Right. So let's
Sorry for fanboying on the whole Pokemon thing. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let's
move on. Let's talk VR.
Yeah.
It can't be worse than the last season of Game of Thrones. So I mean, I'm still watching that. So I'll probably watch the Pokemon movie as well.
What would you do if Ash just took like a sword to the stomach? You know, in the middle of that, that would be an awesome film.
Yeah.
Gets eaten by a
Ash
dragon.
would like sit on the Iron Throne in the end. That'd be
No more Pokemon. No more Pokemon.
Stop it.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Battlewake, because we had some really cool news from developers Survios. They're the same team behind Sprint Vector, Electronauts, Creed, and Raw Data, and they unveiled their new game, which they've been working on, called Battlewake. And they described this game as a rip-roaring, high-seas, vehicular combat adventure developed exclusively for VR.
Yahar.
And basically, you step into the shoes of one of 4 pirate lords, where you can steer a pirate ship and direct your crew to attack all the enemy ships on the seas, using cannons and other fun weapons. And it looks kind of interesting. They've even got, each pirate lord has a unique ability that they can unlock as well. So one of them has this like badass Kraken ability that like raises a Kraken from the sea to take out your foes, which looks like a lot of fun. And also, when you do take out enemy ships, you get like bounties as a reward for doing so. So you use that gold for upgrades for your own ship, which then gives you that nice, satisfying gameplay loop. So yeah, it looks really cool. What do you guys think of this one?
This
great. We've been saying that a pirate game in VR would be epic, and there's actually been like a few. But I mean, Survios is like a pretty well-established brand in the virtual reality world. So I'm actually happy that they're trying to like get into this as well, because they deliver quality titles.
I think the best pirate VR game I played was Furious Seas. I think that was okay, but that wasn't a multiplayer. So this sounds like Sea of Thieves, but in the end, Sea of Thieves is more of an open world where you can also get off your ship, go to an island, try to find treasures. So this sounds like it's only on sea, right? There's no way you're going to get off your ship in any way. Well, you can still try it in real life and kind of be like, oh, okay, let's make the jump and see what happens. You might be able to fall overboard. That would be kind of funny.
But you're right. It does look very similar to Furious Seas, because you know the level mechanics, ringing the bell, pulling the anchor, and all
ringing
that
the bell is also a thing in.
And directing your cannons looks very, very similar.
It seems like officially similar to an extent, but then again, if you look at Sea of Thieves and, as I mentioned, Narrows that's come out before, honestly, if you're working in that territory, there's some things like the Kraken, which is just going to naturally come out at a think tank. This game to me is super. I'm just super enthused for it. Like it was only 3 days earlier we were playing Serious Sam and we talked about this. We were like, oh, why isn't there a multiplayer, game on the sea with pirates in that? And this looks awesome. I want to be able to see my gold, and I thought actually that Furious Seas had multiplayer.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does
I
now.
was about to say that it has multiplayer, online multiplayer, co-op, and online co-op.
Oh. Yeah, because we were just thinking about doing an event on it because, again, all the hype for this game has drummed it up in us. So.
Yeah, but like you say, Survios has a great reputation of making solid games in VR. This game, Battlewake, it'll actually have 20 chapters story campaign, along with co-op, like you said, and a PvP multiplayer deathmatch mode. The cool thing is you can sign up for the open beta, which lists PC VR headsets, PSVR, and most interestingly, Oculus Quest.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No way.
What?
Yeah, because Survios, you got to remember, they made Creed on Quest as well, so they're no stranger to the Quest hardware. So if you sign up to the beta, you can select whether you own a Quest in there. Whether it'll be like a released on Quest, we don't know, but it's a good indication that it might be if they're asking you to own one for beta access.
I also like, again, that they include a single-player campaign. They've done that in every one of their titles now?
Not Sprint Vector. Oh, well, kind of, yeah, with bots.
You can play against AI, but is that fun?
Yeah.
It's okay, actually. They're just a lot better.
If it has a storyline, then yeah, I understand you might want to play it alone. But if it's just multiplayer-based, like Sprint Vector, I don't think bots are that satisfying.
Yeah. But I mean, in most of their titles, because they have actually made quite a few, that they've included a single-player story then as well.
And what I think is most interesting is that they constantly shift from different genres.
It's not even a slight shift.
They never stick with one thing. They just try it all. Creed as well, and then Electronauts, all these weird jumps from, you never know what to expect next. And it's such a big studio. Like if you're ever in LA, just go to their office. It's ginormous.
Yeah.
And they give the best parties too, by the way.
Because they also have a series of arcades, don't they, as well?
Yes.
VR arcades.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Part of their business. So yeah, that is Battlewake coming this summer. So
I might have to rent a pirate ship when it's on Quest.
Yes, you should. It's going to be a lot of fun if it comes to Quest. That's going to be great. Next bit of quick news is about the HP Reverb. We've talked about this on a previous episode of the show. It was coming out this week on the 5th of May. And basically, if you've not heard of it, it's the brand new Windows mixed reality headset from HP. And the thing is, this headset really makes itself stand out from the crowd because of its super high resolution displays at 2160 by 2160 per eye, making it one of the highest resolution consumer headsets available on the market. It's even higher than the upcoming Valve Index, which is interesting, and it's going to be available for $600 for the base model. However, the problem with this headset, and just like previously we experienced with the Samsung Odyssey, is that you can't actually find it anywhere to buy one. It's not listed on the Microsoft website, which lists other mixed reality Windows headsets on there. So right now it seems you can only order one directly from HP on the US site. And right now they only have the Pro version listed, which is $649 and is currently out of stock. So I think it's sold out pretty much straight away. But you can't buy them from any resellers anywhere else.
Wait. So US only?
US only.
But that's so weird because when I was at VRX, in Amsterdam, they have been promoting this headset in Europe as well. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes out, it's like, nope, surprise.
Yeah, and
what's going on?
Whether or not that will change or not, I don't know. But like we experienced this with the Samsung Odyssey as well, right? It's a legit decent headset. People were out there were really enthusiastic about it. At the time, it was like the king headset to buy if you're into racers and simmers. And I think this is going to overtake that in terms of for sim racers and
perfect for the
sims. Yeah, amazing.
It's interesting as well to see like how different brands and different companies focus on like different parts of virtual reality headsets, right? You have the Oculus Rift that is doing their thing, Oculus is doing their thing, you have Index that is doing their thing, now you have the HP Reverbs also doing their thing. They're all roughly similar, but they're different enough for like getting like the thing that you really want for your kind of gaming experience. If you're a sim racer, you're probably more interested in this kind of headset than like paying so much more for a Valve Index, where you actually might have a better experience than this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be the great one for sim racers and people that like flight sims because of the high resolution. From what we've seen so far, it looks really great. So if that's your bag, then I think you're just going to have to keep an eye out.
Also the color, right? I mean, that's another thing that I've seen popping up in live chat quite a bit is people concerned, particularly like Elite Dangerous players who are like the black levels in the new headsets. We've heard negative reports, and I'd say, I don't know about Index, but certainly with the panels that we've got in Quest, Rift S, and the Index, you can't really expect the same kind of black levels as you might already be accustomed to. So a headset like this, is this an OLED? Again, I think it is.
Let me just double check because there's been so many headsets released last week I can't even remember
Nathie has
anymore.
tried this one, I think, but not for long.
RGB strip, so I don't know if that's possible with the.
It's an LCD.
They're all gone LCD.
Yeah, they're all gone LCD.
I think most importantly, what's the nicest about this headset? Yes, the resolution is a big thing too, but the comfort is also it has a different design than any other headset has used in the past. So for sim racers, it's always going to be annoying to have a dial on the back because a lot of headsets also go to like straps now with like dials, right? So you have like this button here in your neck, and this one doesn't have that at all. So you can just simply lean back and play with it.
Although the cable at the back did look that there was a chunky cable connection at the back.
Yeah, but that was like prototype stuff. I don't think that's in the full kit. It's not like the case anymore. Not in that sense. Like that was a big connection piece between that. That's not a thing anymore.
On the retail model that I saw that got shipped out, I did see it on there as well.
They still have it.
Yeah, so it's something to be aware of. There is a big chunky connection right at your back of the head that I was a bit worried about. So if you're worried about it, go and check it out. But hopefully these headsets will be coming to European outlets in the future. That never happened with the Odyssey.
Yeah, well, why? Why is it like? And I don't think it will ever happen. in the first place anymore. It has been so long, and I'm worried with this one too. That I don't know, but they, as I said, they have been promoting it in Europe, so that's a good sign at least to have.
But, like, it sucks that when Europe gets left out. Like, we already pay over the odds for all this tech anyway.
Plus other places in the world too. It's not only Europe, of course.
True.
But no, it's odd. It's very odd, and also, as you said, it's hard to find. If there's something that you want to nail, especially with HP telling everyone like, this is going to be for consumers too, everyone can buy it, then at least make it visible for everyone to also find. If you gotta dig that deep into it, and it's not even on the Microsoft store, well, other mixed reality headsets are on there. That's a big miss. It's a big miss.
Yes.
It might also be intentional, though. If their manufacturing arm isn't strong enough at the moment, then they're just still working on tooling. They're only cranking out certain tens of...
Yeah, but it's a mixed reality headset. Microsoft is a part of that. So being on the Microsoft store is very important. If it's not on eBay, Amazon, whatever, I understand. But Microsoft is actually the one that makes the magic happen in the end with their platform. It's their platform that the HP Reverb is running on. So I
checked both the European and US Microsoft store this morning. Not listed on. Yeah. A real kick in the virtual balls, unfortunately.
Maybe we should register a domain name called HP Reverb or buyhpreverb.com, and then we just link people to it.
Go for
Help them out.
Go for it. But let us know in the chat if you're interested in the Reverb, and if you've ordered one, or maybe you've pre-ordered one somehow from the US and you're getting one shipped over. We'd love to know. Just while I cover this last bit of quick news, and that is about PSVR. Because Sony announced 2 new PSVR bundles this week, which will be available to buy on the 28th of May. Now, both of these bundles feature new and exciting games, both of which I'm really looking forward to playing. The first bundle includes the updated PSVR headset, very slight updates. But
so what is the update like again? What are you buying into?
You basically just got like a better headphone jack location. The cable has got better connection, so you're not getting this like breakout box hanging by your knees. It's just a better design headset, and more comfortable, I think, in that sense. In terms of its design. You're getting a new PSVR camera, new Move controllers, and you're getting Blood and Truth and Everybody's Golf VR bundled into it as well.
So they're just the regular Move controls, because you're saying new. That's
sorry,
okay. I was like, what did I miss? But okay.
No, but actually it matters if you have a load of micro USB chargers.
Oh yeah.
Because I've got the ones that have the mini ones, and it's like I've got now 2 cables. They're the only cables in the house that'll charge these things.
So the controller itself is just the same deal.
The controllers are new, but like you say, they're
just the parts. That's it.
Sports.
But the headset is enough to get at least a little bit excited about it. I've kind of always been like, maybe I'll just leave the kids with the old ones, so then maybe it'll break on its own, and I can get a new.
It doesn't matter if the dog chews on it or anything like that, because I got a new one. Yeah.
This bundle will be available for $349.99 US. And like I said, Blood and Truth. I think that game looks incredible. I can't wait to play that game. Same. I never played London Heist on PSVR World, so I think this is kind of like the spiritual successor to that. So I'm really looking forward to playing that. The second bundle includes the headset, camera, but doesn't include the Move controllers. You'll just have to use the DualShock with this setup. And that includes Trover Saves the Universe and Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. This will be available for $299.99 US.
But it makes sense that there are no moves with that, because these games are designed for, so you're basically buying the bundle for a certain genre of games. So if you're more the type who likes to move around, shoot with guns, and really use your hands, then you should go for the bundle with Blood and Truth. If you like platformers, or where you're like seated and you just use the gamepad to interact with, then you should go for the other bundle. So it makes sense. It's for different gamers.
Exactly.
That they target.
And Five Nights at Freddy's, I'm so looking forward to that game.
Yeah, you do? That's weird. Not me.
I'm looking forward to it. But Zim got to play it at PAX, right?
I did. Day one, it was the first thing I played at PAX.
How was it?
It was a fantastic conversion of the whole concept of Five Nights at Freddy's to VR. They did a true conversion of the first I call it the first kind of the standard Five Nights at Freddy's, I'm going to be in front of a security camera. I've got my 3 corridors. I've got to take care of all of that. If anyone's not played Five Nights at Freddy's, don't look at any videos. Just buy the game and play it. All right, it'll feel good going down.
A good experience. You know, you need to plant roses and like water them.
And then they jump in front of your face. It's a lot of jump scare. The thing is, there's a lot of jump scares in the game if you fail.
How hard did you squeal?
I squealed quite a bit. I've got a video of that over on YouTube if you want to see it. I was surprised how well it did, actually, because it was just a rough cut and there was no gameplay footage. It was just me squealing. But the PSVR conversion of Five Nights at Freddy's VR, and again, I don't know if it's is it landing on other platforms?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to explain kind of like the other 2 modes were really interesting as well. So you have the kind of Five Nights at Freddy's that you expect, and then you have a couple of others that are quite different. So one of them is where you've got it's almost like I call it like an escape room, where you've got a series of ducts, air ducts in front of you to your sides, and you're trying to kind of like flip some switches to kind of get almost like the air duct system cleared out or still working. That's from memory I'm going. And as you're flicking these switches and turning your head and stuff, something's trying to crawl at you in the vents. I've said it before, like the Alien and Alien Isolation. And that's very creepy. And it puts you under that time pressure of, I have to fix this quickly before this thing jumps in my face. I don't remember the second mode. I know I played it, but maybe, Mike, do you have any...
I didn't play it. I didn't get the opportunity.
I got an idea. Why don't we, once the game comes out, ask Nathie to play it?
Yeah, what we should do is we should do an FReality stream where, like this, Nathie plays the game, we just all watch and commentate. That'd be hilarious.
We get big boxes of popcorn and we just sit here.
Yeah, exactly. That would be amazing. If you want that, just let us know in the chat. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But this game is coming out on the 21st of May on PC VR headsets. Yeah. So if you're interested in playing it on PC VR, you can. But interestingly, I thought the release date was kind of interesting because the 21st of May also is the release date for the Quest. And when I checked this morning, this game is listed on the Oculus Store.
Oh, shit.
For Rift. So this is the first Five Nights at Freddy's game that's ever been released on the Oculus Store. The previous episodes have always been on Steam. So I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a Quest released, but we don't know that for sure yet.
No, you sure, Mike? Do you have anything to...
Don't know any insider information. This is just a pure guess.
No, usually, this is like a side story here. Usually when I go onto Reddit, Mike is part of a conspiracy. So I feel like this is one of those.
It's true. That's true. I get embroiled in a lot of conspiracies on Reddit. That's true. Yeah, looking forward to that.
The chat is very much looking forward. They even threw in a donation to make sure that it happens.
Yes.
You didn't even ask. You didn't even ask me. You just, just think I'm fine. Like, you know, I would rather play this than any other horror title at the moment.
By the way, they're also asking if you already ate the head
That's true. Maybe we can do that at the same time. It'll be a bonus stream where
I'm eating it while I'm playing the game,
and then craps himself playing Five Nights at Freddy's.
Poor Nathie. I mean, I feel like he's turning into this stream punching bag here. I mean, let's leave him alone for a minute. Let's pick on Rowdy because he called us all nerds a moment ago for Pokemon Go. Yes, I saw that, Rowdy.
God dang it.
Nathie, you just got to take one for the team for the views, man. Just do it.
If I've done all of this horrible stuff, then Rowdy is next. So I'm happy to do it.
We'll take it in turns. Okay, so let's pass it over to Zim then for the lowdown on the releases for next week. What you should, and maybe what you shouldn't be playing in VR.
Oh my God, I have been looking forward to this ever since I saw this quality title. I'm starting off on the lovely open pastures of Steam VR. So this first title, last week, I asked what the game with loneliness was about. You guys had your guesses and were far off because it's one of the world's most enigmatic VR titles. I played that during the week. I held up my end of the bargain on that one actually, and it was really good. It just did what the trailer did. It didn't tell you anything. You played it, and if anyone doesn't know what that is, go look at it. It was like a £5 or something, and really worthwhile climbing game. Had a bit of story to it as well, which I wasn't expecting, and unspoken story. So the game kind of describes itself through imagery and depictions. You start off as a broken-legged robot. But with that title shoved into last week's podcast, this week we have a different one, and I will say the title, and I ask you to do the same thing. Tell me what,
Rowdy.
Tell me what you think this one's all about, because it's the longest fecking name I've ever seen on a Steam game. Okay, here we go. It's literally 2 lines. VR healthcare, running exercise, VR walking and running along beautiful sea beach and sakura forests. Game.
No way. No, I don't believe this. I don't. This is on Steam. This is how it's called on Steam.
This is how it's called on Steam.
You gotta show this. I can't believe. Can you actually fill it in for that line? I didn't even know this was possible.
So this was VR healthcare, running exercise, VR walking and running along beautiful sea beach and sakura forests. This is
you ain't fooling me this time. You ain't fooling me. It's a wave shooter, isn't it? It's a wave shooter.
You got it, Rowdy. You got it.
How does this even fit on my Steam page?
So it really doesn't. If you look at the Steam page, the name again goes anyway. Other than the word wrap problem here, and the fact that I've never seen a Steam game with this long a name, and the fact that there's a bundle of 5 other games like this from the same developer, you guys have to check this out. So this game for PC VR and Windows Mixed Reality for an astonishing price of £19.49, so about $23 US, is what I've been asking for some years, which is a game that you run and you walk around. In this. There's a few stunning things about this game, and this is again why I had to bring it in, because there are things about this that you will be surprised about. First off, okay, this is how they describe it: VR running in different scenes while enjoying VR scenery while exercising, while forgetting the fatigue of exercise, unlike traditional running. Maybe not. It also contains rich and interesting obstacles, as featured in the trailer, such as a sudden tornado, the lightning that can't be guarded against, and, it's my favorite, the trap of retrogression, which I think means all of a sudden being forced to go backwards. I don't know. Is that a game mechanic?
After seeing the trailer, all of a sudden the Sonic movie looks good.
So that's not all. This game has some amazing features. You can use, Nathie, you're going to like this one. You can use a Vive tracker to attach the tracker to your ankle and exercise on a treadmill. Warm reminder, it is best to open the helmet camera to avoid injury. Please pay attention to safety when using. They're actually asking you to wear a headset while on a treadmill with Vive trackers on your legs. I can't believe. And it says, or use the handle to run through, shake the handle to achieve running VR effect. I don't understand. I have no words for this. And the fact that they're charging 20 quid for it is insane.
No, wait. The thing is, like, in the title it says, like, healthcare. It's just like healthcare approved in any way. Like, you can't tell me that this is like safe in that sense with this controller attached to yourself.
But you said you wanted this, right, Zim? You said you wanted this. They listened to your call, and now they've answered it. You need to try it, right?
Please don't make me do that.
This sounds like another game that Nathie should try.
But seriously, this is like a next level temple runner. This is what Pepsi Man should have been in the end.
I can't believe it. The thing is, right, I was so astonished seeing the title and these features of the tracker and that, hearing the horrible dinging noise of the coins as you're collecting them while you're running. Why you collect coins, I have no idea. Such a terribly designed game, this one.
No, if people are listening to this podcast later on, just look up the trailer for this game and
there's a bundle. There's a bundle for £30. You can get 5 of these quality titles, all with super long names, with just insanity here, and it describes it this way: buy Thoth VR healthcare, aerobic exercise, cycling, running, and fighting to discover the beauty of this world. That's the name of it.
That's a description, not a title.
Exactly.
Why?
That's like what you usually see in the tags on Steam, where it's just like adventure horror title, but instead they just put it in. Well, I'm just seriously going to look on Steam and see how they fit the name on the page, because I still don't believe it's gonna work. It's gonna just stick out of my monitor in some way.
So this is one that we shouldn't play, right, Zim?
This is one I do not recommend you play. No.
The chat is saying they also have a DLC announced. It will allow you to connect your mobile to track your steps and call in an ambulance.
Oh, right. Cute. Nice. Well, that's the first one anyway. So
Wait, does this one also come to Quest or not?
I sure hope not. Please don't come to Quest. Please leave this one off of that Virgin headset. It doesn't need that.
This is why you have a curated store on Quest. This is why you should be thankful for this.
Imagine like that Jason Rubin in the past had to like test this title and see if it was any good.
I'm still convinced that there could be a decent running game in VR with scenery going by as you run, similar to the Wii, what Wii Fit had on it. Yeah. So anyway, so moving on to the next one. So this one is called the Copper Canyon Shootout, and it's one that I did get to play actually last week, before last week's show. It's £12, and one of the notable features is it doesn't only list PC VR, it lists the Oculus Rift DK2 as a supported headset.
Oh
so
my
if
God.
you happen to have an Oculus Rift DK2,
How is that
on the 7th of May 2019, a new title for Oculus Rift DK2 has landed. Called the Copper Canyon Shootout. I was like Nathie when I saw this. I was like, you.
Why? I gotta grab my DK2 again for this. This is actually the newest title you can play on the DK2. Like, how long has it been since? No, this is like the first official consumer game for the DK2, I guess.
Oh wow, that's a good point. Yeah, I wonder if there was ever.
It's a development kit, so this is the first time. It's the first launch title. This is a big moment.
So I'll tell you a little bit about this game anyway, because I got a chance to play it. So the way they describe it, firstly, is it's a fast-paced VR shooter set in a Wild West-themed world, overrun by robots. So you got robots kind of spawning in all over the place, and you're shooting them. Kind of feels like if you were kind of pretty much stuck in place with teleport locomotion, kind of like a Serious Sam type game. Where you've got shotguns and other kinds of pistols and things like that.
Oh. So, Rowdy, how would you rate that storyline that Zim just...
I wasn't listening even. Just zoned out. Be like, next.
Dude, it's like you're in a world with cowboys and you can shoot them.
What was that Harrison Ford film a few years ago? Space Cowboys and Aliens?
Aliens and... Yeah, that was with the James Bond guy.
Yeah. So anyway, I played it. It's actually better than it looks. I'll put it that way. I think they made a kind of a mistake with the way they labeled the game name, because the text for the title, you almost can't even read it. Never choose that, developers. Just go for legible text, please. And I played actually in parallel with somebody else, and we were trying to kind of beat it as fast as we could. They lock you into corridors, essentially, and then they spawn a bunch of robots in. You shoot them. Well, the sounds in that are cool. You've got a bunch of bolts that come out of the robots when you kill them. That's kind of your score, and it floods back to you. But the way that they tiered it and the fact that you get kind of better weapons, it actually felt pretty well. Worked well with the sub pack. Kind of those things were positives. But the fact that there's no smooth locomotion kills it for me, frankly. And I fed that back to the developers, and I hope they get a...
But hey, it does have DK2 support, so in the end you can't hate on this game. That's all you need. Plus,
exactly.
Like, you must be playing with Razer Hydras then to make the magic happen. So why not? Like, it's a nostalgic trip. If there's this one developer that thinks like, hey, let me make games for headsets that no one uses anymore to bring them back to the good old days of VR. I gotta respect them for that. I gotta tip off my head that I don't have for them. Seriously.
Good luck finding Razer Hydras, by the way.
I am really curious to now search the Steam store for DK2 support, because I didn't even
knew there was a thing.
I didn't even know
tag.
It was a.
That's so weird.
So please, Zim, tell me there's something that we should be playing this week as well.
Yes, but it actually, to be honest, I had to scrounge hard because there's a feck ton of stuff happening next week, and my job's going to be bloody difficult. It's going to be like me just rattling off 60 games.
Someone in the chat just says like, if they add DK1 support, then I'm going to get it. So they still have a long way to go.
I don't want to see the DK1 ever again, to be honest. I really don't. So here's the last game. This is a game that originally launched. This is really interesting. Launched on PSVR in Asia to Asian markets, January 18th, 2018. So it's been out for more than a year for Asian markets alone. This didn't launch in the Western market. It's called Pupil Wandering VR, and it's being released for PC VR and Windows Mixed Reality. It's £9.29 with the current discount down to about £6. And the developer says The current version of the game is releasing as an early access version with a big discount. So you're basically getting kind of the first chapter of the experience, I understand, on PC VR. So this is an Asian-style horror game. And actually the kind of striking visuals on this, again, made me quite intrigued. In particular, because one of the game design elements is this lantern. And so they talk about this. They say that all key items in the game and game hints can only be found using this, what they call a moon lantern, which is this like paper lantern. And it's a main feature which brings what they say extraordinary light and truly terrifying experience. The developer, Spoon Network, which is a very interesting name for a developer, and makes me think of Salad Fingers, an old internet meme. You know, what I could see in here was...
Wait, you mean Rusty Spoons Network then?
Rusty Spoons. Rusty Spoons. Yes, exactly. But it reminded me of Dreadhalls. You guys know I play a lot about that. But actually, the environments that they're showing, some of the enemies, this kind of spiritual, ethereal sense of the enemies that you're combating, along with puzzles, really make it stand out to me as kind of a unique horror game. And they actually talk about... They talk about this being a kind of a smooth horror experience with more atmospheric horror rather than jump scares. But some of the puzzles look really well detailed. I'm interested that they've had a year behind them in development, but they're still coming as early access to PC. So that kind of series of things, again, highlighted that to me. So if I had to pick one for this week, Mike, it is Pupil Wandering VR.
Wow. The trailer looks insane, by the way, just saying. Looks very good.
A ton of jump scares in there, though, not only atmospheric.
Well, you actually have combat, so it's not just like suspense and fear. You are fighting against some of these spirits that come after you, and you have to use your moon lantern in a variety of ways. But the combination of kind of puzzle, combat, and atmospheric horror, I thought was quite an interesting blend. So there you go. And that one launched, I didn't say, so that one launched on the 7th of May. Copper Canyon Shootout was 7th of May. And VR Healthcare Running Exercise, VR Walking, and Running Along Beautiful Sea Beach and Sakura Forests launched on the 6th of May, along with its lovely bundle of accessories.
We should remember that as we should give it an award one day for the longest Steam title.
A year from now, we ask chat if you remember that name, and the first person to post it gets a prize.
Yeah,
I think even Mary Poppins would struggle with this one.
That's tough.
Agreed.
That's me. That's me, Mike.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about Gunstocks with the Rift S and the Quest, because I wanted to clear this up because in my Rift S briefly tested the ProTube with contractors, and I had issues with it with tracking. So I put that in my video, and I think I mentioned it on the podcast as well, that I was a little bit concerned about using Gunstocks with the Rift S because obviously it uses inside-out tracking now using the Oculus Insight system. And since that video was posted, a lot of people said that they were concerned about it as well. And the ProTube team got in touch with me and said, look, this was actually an issue on the Windows mixed reality range of headsets as well, because that, of course, uses inside-out tracking. And these are some of the things that we had to implement to overcome that because they didn't have access to the Rift S or the Quest hardware at that time. So the bit of advice that he gave me, or two bits of advice, first was that if you want to use it with an inside-out tracking headset, a ProTube, or any sort of Gunstock for VR, you have to tilt the controllers forward more, because obviously on the Rift S and the Quest, the tracking rings are inverted, so they're on the top. So if you tilt them forward, it lets the cameras see them better. And also shift the backhand, whether you're left or right-handed, forward so it's further away from the headset, because obviously, as we know with the Rift S, tracking can be compromised the closer the controller is to the headset. So I tested it out using both those tricks, and I'm pleased to report that tracking has significantly improved using a Gunstock. So I tested it out in Onward and Contractors and pretty much had a flawless experience using the Gunstock in those games. I did notice in my 3 hours of testing, I did notice 2 periods of slight drift, but that was it. In 3 hours, I think that's pretty good. So, pretty much confirms what we've reiterated before about the Rift S. I think it's great for the average gamer. Competitive players will probably want something else, but that's fine. We know that already.
Is drifting not something that only really happens when you're holding it so still that it starts to kind of move? I think the moments when you're constantly kind of moving around, it always resets while doing so.
Yeah, exactly. Like the the main time I noticed it was when I was going down a corridor, like aiming down the sights and being aiming very straight, waiting for someone to come around the corner. And then I just noticed that the controller slightly drifted that way a little bit. But as soon as I recreate,
you pull it. It's like same with the aim control on PlayStation VR. When it drifts and you then constantly like pull it a little bit, then it just goes back to its original position.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I was using the Force Tube, which we've talked about on the show previously as well. And, just to reiterate as well, that thing is so much fun to use in shooters in VR. It basically gives you a little bit of a haptic feedback recoil kick into your shoulder, which is a lot of fun. It's so much fun. But then I thought, well, now I've got it working on Rift S and I'm happy with it. Obviously, the setup is exactly the same with Quest. Let's see how it performs with the Quest. And we don't have any games that support a Gunstock with the Quest right now, but it doesn't mean they won't be coming in the future. So I thought, well, let's just try it out in the home environment. So I put the Quest controllers in the stock, lined it up in the home environment, and just see how well it tracked. And it worked great, just like it does on Rift S. So it kind of got me thinking that, using a Gunstock in the future with a Quest title could be awesome because you're completely free and tetherless to run around. So, interesting. What do you guys think about that?
Dang.
No, it's great. It's really good. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Onward guys were dropping hints that they might be coming. Well, people have been asking me, actually. They're like, is Pavlov on Quest? I had a friend yesterday from Japan as we were playing some Pavlov asking me these questions. He's like, is Pavlov or Onward coming to Quest? Because he's like just about to push the buy button. But that would definitely, for FPS players, if that's...
They've been towards Onwards on Quest on Reddit pretty convincingly.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. So
I'm expecting it to arrive.
There needs to be at least one on Quest, because otherwise it will lack like a competitive shooting game. That's the worst thing ever. I think Onward or Pavlov, one of those two, like that's the most rumors you hear. But on the other side, like contractors or other titles, like maybe the developers don't really hint around in any way, but they might be seriously working on it and they're just going to release it when they're ready. Because in one way, marketing wise, it's good to kind of start the rumors by yourself if you're a dev. But on the other side, if you just work on it and you just focus on that only, that doesn't hurt either. So I think both ways is
but
good.
I do. There was quite a bit of like things going around with Pavlov, so I don't see that hitting the Quest that so soon. Onward, on the other hand,
you wanna also eat a head strap, Rowdy? Watch out.
No.
Well, I think with Pavlov, the developer didn't have access to hardware, right? So they weren't developing for it at the time.
Hardware.
Oh, they were doing hardware. Right. Okay.
Reddit. I mean.
Yeah, that's what they all say. That's what they all say, right?
Yeah. But yeah, like, can you imagine, like, what we experienced at OC5 with the huge arena scale experience?
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine, right, if they brought out a shooter that supports Gunstocks and they set up an so like that, it would be like next level paintball in the future.
Yes.
That'd be
it would be so
amazing.
cool.
It'd be so good. I mean, like that's why Quest. When people ask me, it's like, oh, I've got a headset already. Should I go for Quest? I still think it's that Wild Wild West stuff. And I don't mean just specifically like the Dead and Buried demo that's Wild Wild West. I mean, developers are trying very interesting things with this, and it excites them. And then there's gonna be more and more stuff hit that platform. It's
Star Wars that's what I want. I want Star Wars Battlefront virtual reality on the Oculus Quest, played in a warehouse.
Whoa, okay.
That's what I want.
But we all know that Oculus is working on an arcade platform to kind of sell to, location-based places. Yeah, it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, it would be smart.
Easy to clean, easy to. It's just easy in general to use.
True. So yeah, Gunstocks do work on the Rift S and Quest.
Wow.
You'll be pleased to hear.
We got in the chat VR Bugs says that Standout is coming to Quest, but under a different name. Anyone can confirm?
Other name? Does someone has a suggestion of how we should call it?
Stand in. There is one competitive title that has been confirmed now as a shooter. It's the one that Zim once mentioned. It's this World War shooter that came to PlayStation VR.
D-Day.
Yeah, D-Day. Yeah. That one.
That's confirmed for Quest?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
that's going to be amazing. That's like Battlefield. That's like really, really good. So that'll really suit the platform. And hey, I don't think it would suit a stock because it's the kind of game where you jump into a car, then you jump into a tank.
Didn't it support a PlayStation VR aim controller?
Yeah,
It
it
did.
Yes, it did.
So-
It did. I'm not saying it would be useless, but it's kind of like Pavlov. Like, do you bring your stock into that game because it slows you down a little bit? You know, Onward and Contractors do very well with a stock. But Mike, I'm glad you did the test because I'm so smitten with the stock and the force tube. And I really see that on store shelves at some point in the future. You know, I know they had some difficulty getting the funding that they were looking for, but they still have some backing. The beast is still alive, and the beast shall grow.
So I will just say one last thing before we move on is that reloading is still a little bit troublesome because of the rings being on top rather than underneath. But you eventually learn to work around it with the muscle memory. So you do figure it out eventually. But just one thing to be aware of.
So one more thing I also want to highlight about the controllers. Once again, like you all remember last time where we spoke about the battery compartment sliding off sometimes.
Yep.
Like I demoed the Quest to 4 people today. And there were 2 people that actually had issues with that, where it was sliding off. And this was in Superhot VR, not only Beat Saber. So
Correctly?
no, but it is something that some people will kind of, as you said, you can learn to hold the control properly. But I still feel like the magnet could be stronger.
I wouldn't be surprised if they redesign how that.
Yeah, I like the magnet can be, if it's stronger. That might already solve a lot, I feel like. So just saying that out of the 4 people, 2 people actually, and they never used these controllers before. So
Also, the name for standout on the Quest apparently is Survive Battle Royale VR.
Interesting.
with beautiful environments and etc. etc.
Same thing.
Okay, so let's move on. While we're talking about arenas and shooters, we might as well talk about the NYPD using similar technology in VR to train, because they had this amazing video online, and it was from Eyewitness News, ABC 7NY, and they were showing the NYPD using this technology for training, especially with like active shooter incidents and stuff like that. That's very difficult to train for in real life. They were using VR to train for it, and they were using like a warehouse scale setup. Imagine like the Void location-based experience, that sort of technology with a headset, a backpack with a PC in it. You've got trackers on the headset itself and both your legs and your wrists, and then a fully tracked gun as well. And they were sending officers through various different experiences to sort of train for what these experiences would be like in real life. It was really, really cool to see. And then they had these really cool tools, a bit like what we saw at OC5 with the Dead and Buried experience, where they were using an iPad in like a mixed reality mode. They've got like iPads where they can see what the officers are doing from like a bird's eye view, in terms of like their cone of vision, where they're looking, where their guns are aiming, and how they're sort of moving through these environments as a team. So they can really get like analytical and analyze through each scenario how each officer behaves and maybe what they need to correct in the future.
Wow.
So it's much more precise training than real life training could ever offer.
I even see in the video that let's say the terrorist or the criminal is also getting controlled by an actual person. So it's kind of unpredictable what this. Yeah,
it's amazing because, like, doing these scenarios in real life takes a physical space that's big enough. You need a space that's got like a license to use firearms and stuff like that in a training scenario. Then you need like hostages and terrorists to play, people to play those roles, and officers then get taken off the streets, like a lot of them, because they tend to do it in one big mass of like 1 or 2 days. Whereas this seems like something that if you had it locally, you could train like maybe 4 or 5 officers at a time and minimize, the impact that it's having on day-to-day police work. And it's also very cost effective, I feel, and very immersive.
It's basically recreating that scene from Johnny English where he needs to like go into a certain house, and like they have like a blueprint of the house so he can like experience it before he actually goes there. So this is basically the same kind of thing. If they need to go into a certain area or a certain place, that they can make blueprints of that kind of place and then train them in certain situations.
Imagine like the NYPD is like testing this, and then the criminals also have their own warehouse testing how they get to.
But no, that's exactly what I thought. The first thing I thought when I saw
how
this,
to rob a bank.
The first thing I thought was, "Can I play it, please?" The second thing I thought was, if you're a wannabe terrorist or do bad person, you just want the same equipment. I mean, there's going to be a market for this for people on both sides.
My
and
days,
in the end,
yeah.
what's going to happen is people are really just going to be playing, Firewall in real life. That's it. It's just...
Yeah. The cool thing is with this, the scenarios can be changed instantly and then reset instantly as well. So say, someone makes a mistake or something goes wrong, they just go, okay, let's reset it. Let's start again. Let's go for it again. So it's very, very easy in that sense. So I think we're going to see more and more of this in the future as a cost-effective training method for, first responders, ambulance, police, military as well. We've already seen it being used for, doctors training, on operations and stuff like that. So it's going to be super interesting how VR changes the training landscape in the future and of course, education as well. But I thought it was super interesting. But like you say, it's kind of interesting. Your take on it was like the terrorists are going to start using this as well.
Yeah. It's like they have their own version.
I wanted to ask, you could become a consultant in this kind of stuff because you have a background in both fields, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like for those that don't know, I have a previous career in the police force. So I could do that. That would be kind of interesting. And that's why I really wanted to talk about it on the show, really, and to highlight it, because I thought it was a really interesting use case that I'd not seen before, especially with that kind of trackers and stuff.
You've never experienced something like this during your career?
No, and generally speaking, from my police background, they're very sort of slow at adopting new technologies.
Yeah.
Like laws are very antiquated anyway. So we use very old laws, that were passed many, many years ago, and many don't apply to modern day world. So, to see a police force using technology that is really on the cutting edge and at the forefront was really interesting and fascinating to see.
Someone like it, just like, Mike was a cop? Do you have anything to hide? He's like, oh no.
Yeah, believe it or not, I was for a long time.
The thing I caught in that video, which you guys will appreciate, is that as the set pieces that they had, and they were dragging set pieces in and out of this scene, I thought that was very advanced. They actually have a content creator sitting there on his knees, filming the scene, and they call him Filming Civilian Number 1. So I thought that that was very fitting that this advanced technology has even brought content creators into the simulation.
Exactly. Wow. So you're basically saying there's not only a career for Mike in this, considering his background in both fields, but there's also a career for all of us.
NPCs. We can be NPCs.
I would hire you guys. Of course I would. But yeah, it's just interesting insight into some training. Like I said, I'm sure we'll see more use cases like this in the future, but I think it's very exciting.
I think a lot of people in the chat are now imagining a Ewok in a police costume, in a British police outfit.
Yeah.
Trying to be angry.
It feels weird because it's been about a year since I left that world, and that year has absolutely flown by. But it does feel like a different life now, that I've lived a different life in the past.
You're living the star life now and drink champagne every day.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Getting all kinds of headsets in your house, swimming in headsets, and yeah.
I think
what a life.
I think generally I'm much happier nowadays. As much as I appreciate my previous career, it's a very negative environment. You see the worst of humanity there, and I think it was taking its toll on me as an individual. So when I had the opportunity to do something that's way more positive and way more exciting, and just talk about something that I'm passionate about, it was just an opportunity I couldn't miss up. And I'm so glad I took that leap. To be honest, I haven't looked back since. But enough about me. Let's talk about the people at Oculus, because. Last bit of news this week is about Hugo Barra and Jason Rubin, because they're both leaving Oculus, but don't get too upset. They're not going far. They will be working within Facebook. They're different.
They're not going far. It's like they move one block away from there.
They're still going to be working at Menlo Park, I would imagine, where Facebook headquarters is based. Hugo Barra, of course, he's been running Oculus since 2017, and he stated this week via Twitter that taking a new role at Facebook, building a global AR and VR partner ecosystem based in NYC after 2+ amazing years leading the Oculus team. With Quest shipping the 21st of May, our first generation VR lineup is now complete. It's time for me to take on the next big challenge, bringing AR and VR to more people. So, he's still going to be heavily involved in VR development, and now he's throwing AR into the mix as well. So it could be a tease to sort of to say that, Facebook are really going to be pushing AR maybe in the next couple of years to come. Maybe with an AR headset that they bring to the table as well under the Oculus brand. That would be a very interesting move, I think. But
what if they buy like Magic Leap?
I don't think they would buy Magic Leap, but maybe someone similar.
The question is, are they for sale?
I don't think so. The amount of money that Magic Leap have anyway, I don't think they need to be bought out by anyone. They got so much investment from Silicon Valley, it's unreal. But stepping into the shoes of that role is Eric Sen, who tweeted, taking a new role at Facebook, leading AR and VR product management. So he's going to be stepping into Hugo Barra's old role. Excited to return to my consumer hardware roots and join a team that is transforming science fiction into reality. Looking forward to delivering products that will revolutionize how we work, play, and connect. And he's got a previous rap sheet of working at Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and he's been at Facebook for like almost 10 years. So
Zen, that's his Zen?
It's spelled Tseng, but I assume it's pronounced Sen.
Sensei VR.
Eric Seng, yep. And then, obviously, that's Hugo Barra and Eric Seng. And then you have Jason Rubin, who has been head of content at Oculus for a long time now, is also leaving. And he stated via Twitter, I have a new role at Facebook as the Vice President of Special Gaming Initiatives, working on positively impacting gaming communities. And Michael Verdu is joining Oculus as Director of Content. And he'll be working with Mike at Oculus Gaming to bring bigger and better content to VR. So still in a very similar role, but just taking a sidestep into more towards Facebook.
Like a promotion rather than leaving a company behind, right?
Yeah, I would imagine both of these roles are promotion roles. I don't think that it's because of anything bad that's happened. I think it's due to the success of what Oculus have seen over the last year. So I wouldn't see it as a demotion, put it that way. I definitely see it as a promotion within Facebook, but definitely still both working within the VR and AR space still. So that's good to hear.
Good on them, because they're both like hardworking individuals as well, and they've done a lot of great stuff for it as well.
Lots of travel as well. I mean, these guys are flying around the globe most of the time, and the way I see it is it's just a simple big step up. It's like let's gear up, like move the team one notch up so that we can get ready to take the world down, So
yeah,
it's a very positive piece of news, actually.
Yeah, and the guy that's going to be taking Jason Rubin's place, like I said, is Michael Verdu. He's previously worked at Zynga, the mobile developer platform, and EA as well. So again, very sort of embedded within gaming and the industry. So it's going to be interesting to see what he brings to the table in the future. But what I do feel about these moves and what I feel like Oculus needs more now than ever is like a real face of the company, like someone to stand there and represent the company. And I think, for all what Palmer did and his quirks, and for those that like him or hate him, you can't deny that he was an amazing front runner for the company and a face of the company.
Yeah.
So I feel like Oculus needs that, like a Reggie from Nintendo.
It's best example like with HTC where they have like Elvin, and he's like really putting the brand on the map and does some awesome stuff. So I totally agree. I don't know who that's going to be, but there needs to be a community manager basically that makes itself like public in a way where it's like, hey, listen, you can always, send me a message and really have a go-to person that is like, hey, wait, this is the person we like, that the man or women of the people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that is interacting with the community via Twitter and maybe on Reddit and stuff like that. But when you look at like Michael Verdu, although he's got a great history and working with Zynga and EA, when I look at his social media on his Twitter, he's only ever sent one tweet in his life, and you just think, maybe he's not going to be the person that does that. But I feel like Oculus needs someone like that.
I do feel like with Jason Rubin on Twitter, at least, I felt like a lot of his tweets were sent by Oculus and not by himself. So having someone that really does a lot on, of course, like social media is so important, especially if you're doing the content, I feel like.
Yeah,
We'll see.
so they're the moves around Oculus. Interesting. So let's see what happens in the coming months from these the people that have joined. But yeah, congrats to you guys, and look forward to seeing what happens next. So if you've got any questions about us or about any sort of content, obviously we've had hands-on time with the Quest and the Rift S recently. Put them in the chat now while I reiterate the show times once again. So it is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. Also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor.
Also, slam a like on this stream.
Yes.
Lets us know you care.
One question here says, VR Let's Play says, when will you do a VR meetup? And I don't think we've set a date just yet, but we did say we would about 8 months ago. So I think it's probably about time that we set a date and get together with
still
some...
have about 9 months to...
Well, I think, it is something that we do want to do, using alt space or big screen or VR chat. And with the Quest coming, it would definitely make it more accessible to other people that, have just joined us on this crazy adventure. So maybe it should be something we look to do in the next coming months. I would be up for it.
Yeah, definitely one where everyone can join. If you don't have a headset, you could also join like in alt space or VR chat. So it's like accessible for everyone who's listening.
There's a good question here from Brock Peterson who says, can you see the outline of your Guardian boundary for the Quest while you play games like the HTC Vive?
Yep.
Yes.
So when you move close to them, they automatically pop up.
But it doesn't appear in the recording, right?
No.
If he's planning to record, yeah.
Yeah.
And just back on that previous question, we talked about the meetup. There was also another advertisement here by Deb who has reminded, can always join us in AltSpace. There is actually an AltSpace place to meet together with other people who watch the podcast and view the show together there. It's actually a custom place, which I'm still trying to get to see, because when we're live, we can't be there, and then it closes its doors and can't go see that environment. So looking forward to seeing that at some point. It looks pretty cool from pictures anyway.
Yeah, so for all of you that are watching us right now in AltSpace, we're going to give a wave specifically for you guys. You're the real MVPs watching in VR. That's next level. Okay, so I hope you guys and girls have enjoyed this week's show. It's not been as long as our recent shows because obviously we've had so much news to cover in the previous episodes, so we've cut it a bit shorter than we normally would. So if you're new to the show, this is the normal length. We'll be back next week with some more VR news for you, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Have a great week in VR, and until then, bye-bye for now. Take care.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
Bye.